Introduce to you Dr. Chris Urso, President of the Middletown Board of Education. Welcome. On behalf of the Board of Education, welcome to our new high school and middle school campus. Before beginning, I would like to first thank my colleagues and friends on the Board of Education who are in attendance this evening, Anita Schreiber and Kathy Mulligan. And thank you, Mayor Mulligan and Middletown City Council for inviting me to speak on behalf of the Middletown Board of Education. Thank you, City of Middletown, voters and taxpayers. It is through your generosity that our students are afforded educational spaces, like the one we meet this evening, that are boundless in their potential to yield transformative learning opportunities. The responsibility we now shoulder is to effectively utilize these physical resources to help grow graduates that are equipped to successfully transition into adult life. In presenting the state of the district, the objective is to inform the community of how this fundamental goal is being accomplished. 5 areas of concentration will serve as the foundation of my talk: district financial status, student achievement and state report card, school safety, Central Academy building project, and the strategic plan implementation. The Board of Education, in conjunction with our treasurer, Randy Bertram, and Superintendent Marlon Stiles, are mindful of the important responsibility we share in being wise stewards of public monies. For Middletown to grow and succeed, we must be systematic in how capital is allocated. In this past, Middletown City School District has improved its financial status for 4 years in a row. During the fiscal year ending in 2014, Middletown City Schools ended 3 years of deficit spending. In 2014, the district had a reserve cash balance of just $517,000 with a $73 million budget. For the years prior to 2014, the district realized major real estate devaluation and loss of real estate tax revenues. In response, the district made significant cuts in 2014 and 2015 and created a cash balance reserve policy. In fiscal years 2014 and 2015, we needed to borrow $6 million to maintain strong vendor relationships and meet our fiscal responsibilities. Since 2014, the district has ended each year with revenues in excess of expenditures, for a total of $18,968,919 through the fiscal year ending in 2018. Stated differently, in the last 4 years, the district has been able to increase our carryover balance from $517,000 to just under $19 million. The Board of Education applauds our schools, especially our treasurer, Randy Bertram, in bringing the district to a much stronger financial position. We've been able to add staffing and programming for our students, renovate Barnett Stadium, open a new baseball and softball facility at Lefferson Park, completely renovate and modernize Middletown High School, open a brand new middle school, create multiple STEAM labs throughout the district, resurface tennis courts, and open the new state-of-the-art Miller Arena. All this was accomplished while retiring cash borrowing. Furthermore, the Barnett Stadium loan and an energy conservation loan were both paid back early. In response to these actions, Middletown City Schools has raised its credit rating 3 times in 4 years. Looking forward, we are forecasting 2 more years of revenue over expenditures to bring our cash balance up to $23,227,809. Moreover, our state aid is forecasted to increase. We are confident we can continue to operate efficiently while providing the best educational opportunities possible for our students without the need of an operating levy through 2023. A prominent measure of a school district's efficacy is the state report card. For 2017, Middletown City Schools earned a B on the district grade. Plainly, the district, community, and Board of Education are not satisfied with the district grade. Similar to the restructuring that has occurred within our district finances, restructuring in academic areas has been and will continue to be comprehensive. One example that provides a sampling of the ongoing evolution that is occurring is observable in the district curriculum and innovation department. From the very top structural elements to the delivery components and documents, change is rapid and extensive. Structurally, Fran Morrison was hired to lead the department and bring vast experience and strong interpersonal skills. Work is being done to rewrite curriculum, leverage technology, develop STEAM environments, redefine the gifted and talented program while working to cultivate teaching staff that is successful in using data to inform instruction. Attention is laser focused at filling gaps that have existed and negatively impact student achievement. District-wide, there's a concerted effort for our students to experience 1.5 years of academic growth as measured by the math assessment. The Measures of Academic Progress, MAP, assessment is designed to measure a student's academic achievement and growth over time in reading and mathematics. Together with other classroom-based information, MAP results can help teachers make instructional decisions that match the needs of each child. MAP is a computer-adaptive test. In a computer-adaptive test, the student responds to questions, the test responds to the student, adjusting up or down the difficulty of the questions presented to the student. This creates a personalized assessment for every student. Data shows that our students are behind. 1.5 years of growth on the map will enable students to catch up. Over the past weeks, my wife and I have been working with our own daughter, Claire, who is a third grader. Our experiences in working with Claire have been personally noteworthy and connect to student achievement district-wide. The third grade reading guarantee requires students to meet specific scores on a literacy-based standardized test before being permitted to move on to fourth grade. I've made copies of questions that have been publicly released for preparation reasons. Please take a minute to explore the test. These sample questions should help illuminate why Middletown City Schools is working diligently to increase preschool enrollments. Kindergartners are expected to enter school with a solid educational foundation that is already established, and by third grade, be able to successfully read multi-page passages, comprehend content, and type multi-paragraph responses, all in 90 minutes and on a computer. Historically, students have not experienced these same expectations. As such, many students who enter our schools are deemed behind, not because of a lack of talent or work ethic, but due to a lack of exposure. In increasing enrollments in strong preschool programs, our students will have a better opportunity to succeed on these high-stakes tests. During the 2017-2018 academic year, 397 3- and 4-year-olds attended a quality preschool in Middletown. This year, we have 437 potential middies enrolled in preschool. Both years reflect a dramatic increase in preschool enrollments when compared to preceding years. The Board of Education has confidence in our district leadership. The leadership of Mr. Stiles, our superintendent, has been impactful in shifting the focus, energy, and structure of Middletown City Schools. During his 15 months as district superintendent, dramatic change has occurred in areas of personnel, curriculum, and district planning. Recently, Middletown City Schools was selected to join the League of Innovative Schools. As one of only 102 districts countrywide, Middletown City Schools will have access to and contribute to forward-thinking approaches to teaching and learning. Our membership signals that the work that is being accomplished in our district is being noticed and is validated by professionals outside of Middletown. Whereas we are not content with the district report card grade, there is confidence that the groundwork that is being established will shift outcomes. Evidence already indicates that improvements in student achievement are occurring. For example, district-wide, the gap closing measure improved from an F to a C. At Middletown High School, scores in biology improved by 23%, government 18%, and English 12%. At the primary level, trend lines in language arts and math are encouraging. Where there are many positives, we realize that much still needs to occur to ensure our students are prepared. Unequivocally, Middletown City Schools is committed to improving the academic and social welfare of our students, and in doing so, Measures like the state report card will also improve. In early September, the Board of Education visited Middletown High School, Middletown Middle School, Highview Central Academy, and Wildwood. The schools we visited were safe, calm, welcoming, and engaging. We, the Board of Education, realize that this is only a glimpse of what is occurring. But it was evident that our administrators and staff have taken time to invest in behavior expectations and routines while building positive relationships with students. This is an important step in ensuring that our schools are safe, as school safety remains a top priority for the district. In August, the Department of Homeland Security conducted a safety audit of our schools. The findings have been significant in taking practical steps to further secure our buildings. This past summer, work at Central Academy was completed to create a secure entrance to the building. Now all buildings in the district have secure entrances. In collaboration with the Butler County ESD Public Safety Director, Middletown City Schools recently completed a functional safety exercise with the entire middle school staff. The staff successfully simulated organizing and operating a reunification site after a mock bus accident. The district has strong relationships with city police and fire chiefs, school resource officers, and the city manager, and appreciate their efforts in making Middletown City Schools safe for our students and our staff. These relationships are critical as we work together for the common cause of providing a safe and productive learning environment for our young people. Presently, we're in discussions to determine the optimal staffing for school resource officers in the district and the trusting relationships that have been developed between the city and its schools are beneficial to everyone. On October 8th, the Board of Education voted to support building an addition onto Central Academy. Adding on to Central Academy would allow the district to deliver new, innovative academic programs to its students and relieve the over-enrollment issue that exists in particular grades in some of our buildings. The central location of the building and the fact that the district already had busing serving this facility and the whole district, Central Academy is the most fiscally responsible option with a budget of $10 million. The $10 million project does not require a bond levy. In May 2014, Middletown voters passed a bond issue for $55 million. Through our partnership with the state of Ohio, we only needed to utilize $45 million for the new middle school and modernized high school. The $10 million carryover is able to be used on permanent improvement projects such as adding on to an existing building. The cost of the project, including architect fees, construction management, and the actual construction, is limited to the $10 million. When completed, an additional 35,000 square feet of learning space will be accessible for students. The cost of homeowners will be at most $8.75 per $100,000 of home value, and it is plausible that no increase in taxes will be required for the project. In line with Middletown City School District's strategic plan, we want every child to receive an outstanding learning experience. By adding on to Central Academy, we'll be able to give more children access to innovative programming. The Middletown City School District Curriculum and Innovation Department has formed a design team tasked with delivering a new, inventive program offered at Central Academy. Construction will start in the spring of 2019, and the doors will open for students in August of 2020. Last year, under the leadership of Mr. Stiles, the strategic plan was completed and approved by the Board of Education. Middletown City Schools is 3 months into executing the strategic plan with focus areas centered on instructional excellence, valuing diversity, student and family wellness, and communication and community engagement. We would like to again thank all those who shared their time and talents in developing the plan that now guides the district. Consistent with the strategic plan, the district is working to close the digital equity and access gap for our students. This year, we are on track to introduce a one-to-one environment for students grades 6 through 12. 30 Middletown City School District educators are participating in ISTE, International Society for Technology and Education. Being a one-to-one district is only valuable when staff are highly skilled in using digital tools. The ISTE National Educator Certification Program supports the district's focus on closing the digital divide. We implemented STEAM, makerspace environments in Amanda, Mayfield, Wildwood, and the middle school. Students are engaging in robotics, digital media, engineering, coding, and much more. Teacher recruitment and retention efforts have yielded positive results. In April of last year, the district held the first urban educator evening and invited prospective educators to learn about Middletown. Multiple new staff that possess both the talent and motivation to work in Middletown were hired from this event. The Student Wellness Center is nearing the final stages of construction and is scheduled to open later this month. The district website has been redesigned. The district has extended our social media footprint into the community using Facebook Live, Twitter, and Instagram. We, Middletown City Schools, will continue to stay on course and use the strategic plan to guide our actions. We will continue to support our administrators, our teachers, our support staff as they support our children. We will maintain high and relevant expectations. We will continue to be problem solvers, innovators, and persistent in our work to yield a better and more enriching school experience for our students. We will continue to welcome feedback and community insight as our goal is to be transparent, accessible, and collaborative. We will continue to advocate for, champion, and market the positive stories that our young people and adults work hard to make happen. We will persevere when challenges emerge. And consistent to how I closed last year's speech, and as Oliver Wendell Holmes famously stated, greatness is not where we stand, but in what direction we are moving. Middletown City Schools are pivoting forward. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Larry Mulligan has had a long career, nearly 30 years, in the financial services industry. He has served in executive finance and leadership roles in a variety of areas in banking, accounting, and finance. He is currently Senior Vice President of Business Development and Diversity at LCNB National Bank. LCNB is a $1.6 billion community bank headquartered in Lebanon, Ohio. Larry was appointed to City Council in 2006 to fill the unexpired term of the then Second Ward. In 2007, he ran for office to be the city's first directly elected mayor in over 80 years. In November 2011, he was re-elected and ran unopposed in 2015. He is proud and honored to serve his hometown in this capacity as mayor. He currently serves on many boards in the region. He is chairman of the Great Miami Valley YMCA Board of Trustees, serves as vice chairman on the Lifespan Board. He's on the board for the Chamber of Commerce serving Middletown, Monroe, and Trenton, and the Butler County United Way. He co-chaired the Butler County United Way campaign cabinet for the 2016 and 2017 campaigns. He has also served on numerous other nonprofit boards throughout the years. Larry and his wife, Kristen, are the parents of three grown children, Larry III, David, and Megan. He received his undergraduate degree from Miami University. He completed the Ohio School of Banking at Ohio University and is a 2003 graduate of the American Bankers Association. I'm going to get this name wrong. Stonier Graduate School of Banking at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. It is my privilege to introduce to you Mayor Larry Mulligan.
Thank you, Rick. My mother would be always proud of that introduction, so she didn't write it, but I did. No, it's a privilege to be here tonight to present the State of the City Address here in 2018. I want to welcome everyone. Appreciate you coming out on this nice rainy evening in Middletown, but the spirits are bright here. Chris had a lot of great things to say about the schools. I've got some great things to share about the city. Reverend Tyus, thank you for tonight's invocation. Your leadership at United Missionary Baptist Church, your time on the school board, your time on city council over the past 26 years is very much appreciated. I was honored to participate in the church's anniversary celebration just a couple months ago and recognize that Reverend Tyus's servant leadership is well recognized throughout the community. I'd like to offer my special thanks to Middletown City School District and the high school for hosting tonight's address. I appreciate Chris taking time to share those important updates and the progress of our city schools over the past year. Many folks are taking notice that Middletown is on the rise, and it's fitting that the schools have used the hashtag MiddyRising to reflect their progress. We're fortunate to have Doug Atkins as our city manager. He's executed on his plan presented to council 3 years ago. It focused on steady progress on a number of fronts, all of which are in motion and moving the city in the right direction. 2018 was a year in which our future began to take shape, with tangible improvements and significant projects having been completed. He has a lean staff that works diligently in serving the citizens of Middletown. That ranges from our frontline public safety crews to our public works team, to the collection and processing of our water and tax payments. I appreciate all the work and dedication exhibited by all our employees. The city manager has stabilized our core services, including public safety, economic development, and water and sewer upgrades. We've added police officers, firefighters, and economic development staff to better execute in those departments on a daily basis. These are still challenging times, yet we're doing the work of a much larger staff compared to decades ago. I appreciate the involvement of the police and fire honor guards in tonight's address. Their support of the community is critically important. Whether it is National Night Out, Coffee with a Cop, hosting school tours at fire stations, or supporting Trick or Treat, they touch many lives throughout the year, and their service is appreciated. Your city council works well to provide the oversight and guidance requiring leading our city. We do not always agree on every issue, but the best interests of the city are at the center of what we do. Thanks go to Vice Mayor Moon, Council members Vittori, Bohannon, and Mulligan for the effort they put forth every day serving the city. It is with some concern that I'm not starting off the address speaking about future plans for a road levy. Earlier this summer, I had optimistically proposed council consider a new dedicated levy to address our deteriorating streets. While I respect differences of opinion, the fact remains our streets overall are not at a level concerned citizens expect. Comments I receive regularly center around the conditions of streets, potholes. I think even Father Seville mentioned that tonight, that he had a pothole in front of his yard he wanted me to fix. So get on that, Doug, I guess. We'll have to get out there when the rain stops. In terms of addressing those potholes, sidewalks, and other improvements, if we're able to successfully reach the levels Mr. Atkins has outlined in his plan, we'll make good progress over time, but it'll be over the next 20 to 30 years. And that also requires tremendous discipline and successful execution of the plan. And while we're on track, we're not there yet. The 2019 budget calls for $1.3 million in addressing local roads. This is a proverbial drop in the bucket of the $160 million estimate for our future needed repairs. Compounding this, we are still projecting dipping into our reserves in 2019 with general fund revenues $1.9 million less than planned expenditures. Certainly, if enough voters are interested, there is a possibility of a citizen-led initiative, ballot initiative for a dedicated road levy. That would require some work and effort, but given the state of our roads, it would send a message to the community of its importance. Tonight, I'll address on a few additional thoughts on our roads, but also our growing activity and economic development, touch on improvements to enhance some of our quality of life amenities in Middletown, address important progress on our housing study and its committee, improvements we've made in the opioid crisis, and highlight opportunities in workforce development and education. There are many good things to cover, and overall, the state of the city is great. We have work ahead of us, but we are up for the challenges. On incredibly positive news and progress, the economic development front, 2018 was a very busy year, and 2019 promises to be as well. We celebrated the completion of major construction projects around Middletown. Two significant projects, one a national energy company, the other a regional health network, chose Middletown for their growth and expansion. We have many great things to offer, and these two companies recognize the potential and the possibilities. Both complimented on the support and responsiveness from the city as they worked through their large construction projects. NTE, a $650 million investment in our community, began commercial electricity operations earlier this summer. Kettering Medical Center Middletown opened in August. Both companies are getting involved in the community, supporting and sponsoring activities, much like the tradition of many of our companies. Both provide additional employment opportunities at all levels. Additionally, at the Made Industrial Park, another large-scale, 600,000 square foot warehouse and office facility is under construction, and a second, smaller facility is going up on adjacent property. All are signs of great activity. Looking towards the future, Atrium Medical Center, the city, and Duke Energy partnered together for a site readiness study of property owned by the hospital for future development. All signs point to a location that was ready for new additional development to enhance the campus of the hospital, AK's Innovation and Research Facility, and overall East End. Getting a site certified is a key step in attracting developers and users with site selection companies. And on a smaller scale, a more personal scale, Middletown attracted new residents to town, something we should all be proud of. These are just two examples of many that recognize the great things Middletown has to offer. One example are Mika and Theron Jones. They opened up the Windermere Event Center and have been on the move since then. They recently moved to Middletown to be closer to work and to be part of our great city and all it has to offer. In another case, Rick McCrabb of the Journal News recently profiled a new teacher in Middletown, returning home to teach and be part of a new generation of residents. Carrie Parson recently graduated from Miami University and is working with kindergartners at Wildwood Elementary. We're fortunate to attract and retain talented individuals to the district and to our community. And in speaking of the schools, the school district celebrated the opening of the new middle school and completely renovated high school. This campus reflects what is so good about Middletown. We come together. Just as the middle school has joined the high school, we are excited about the new, but we remember the past. The new state-of-the-art middle school forges new ground in education with creative spaces for great opportunities for education. The past with mementos from the old high school or middle school, reminding students of our great history and traditions. And both are positioned well for the future, much like the schools are positioned to advance students into a career or possibly furthering their education, whether it's miles away or across the street at Miami's campus or across town at Cincinnati State. Education is the foundation of a solid future, and I encourage everyone to get involved in our schools, whether mentoring a student, opening up your business for a tour, or presenting in a classroom. All can have a positive impact on our school district. The economic activity extended beyond large projects. We celebrated grand openings, anniversaries, and where businesses have hit the ground running, and continued interest and investment in our downtown. Downtown Middletown, Inc. deserves a lot of credit for promoting activities in and around downtown. Even better, there's continued interest and investment in downtown Middletown. After a setback earlier this year with a water main break, the Getz Tower will be renovated next year. Bringing new residents downtown will further advance our efforts and will establish a project on which we can build on for future investment and development. We were the first door district in Ohio. We expanded those parameters and operating hours of the door in 2018 at the request of downtown businesses. DMI, city officials, and restaurant owners came together to revise the rules and mechanics of the door. DMI also hosted the inaugural Hops in the Hangar, which brought over 600 people, many from outside Middletown, to the airport for a creative craft beer testing. We also celebrated the groundbreaking of a new facility for Hope House. While the mission and work they do are critically important to helping those in need, its presence in our downtown commercial district did not enhance our city's image for some. Relocating to a nearby residential area will provide a safe, appropriate environment for residential units with a much more efficient and well-designed facility. Their board worked for many years on the project, and it's good to see this will be coming together for an opening late next year. It was nearly 15 years since Middletown last adopted its master plan, and much has changed in that time. The city addressed many of the objectives and strategies described in the 2005 plan. Others are not as relevant, and it's time to reevaluate the future direction. In many respects, the Great Recession rendered parts of the plan obsolete. A master plan is a blueprint that guides the development of the city and addresses key topics including housing, economic development, and revitalization. The updated master plan document that will be used for marketing the city, grant writing, as well as a tool for future development. Over the last 2 years, the city has worked with community groups such as Middletown Moving Forward and Downtown Middletown, Inc. to host visiting sessions to determine the needs and wants of our residents and stakeholders for the city's future. The city adopted the final visioning document in 2017 for inclusion in the overall master plan. The city adopted its new zoning code earlier this year. The updated code provides best practices currently being utilized in Ohio. This important work updated a code that was over 50 years old, outdated, and out of touch with the current environment. The new code helps to protect those businesses and homeowners making investments in our community and sets higher expectations for new development. Also in late 2017, the city adopted the Downtown Middletown Strategic Plan and completed a citywide housing study that determined the strengths and weaknesses of Middletown's housing stock. We've convened a committee to review the key areas of our housing issues, and I'll touch on those later in the address. Also related to the master plan, the city will be completing a new airport master plan, which will lay out future development of available acreage on the airport grounds. There are many opportunities at our airport centered around aviation, job creation, and economic development. The city was awarded a state capital grant to assist in financing a new education hangar. We partnered with Cincinnati State to bring an avionics certificate program to the airport that will be joined by educational opportunities with the Butler Tech drone classes to further develop a workforce around aviation. I'll mention John Kraft just presented today. These drones are not the drones you buy at Target and fly around and have fun with. These are the high-tech things, and some really advanced technology in that. This planning process was long and detailed for the airport and includes lots of different interests, including the Federal Aviation Administration. In the end, we will have access to additional land for development. This will enhance the attractiveness of the facility for aviation and related uses. The support from the state for the education hangar will allow partners to train a future workforce for high-paying jobs in aviation and attract new employers to the area. With today's employment situation, being able to offer educated, trained, and available workforce is key to attracting employers. No longer are incentives and location top priorities. Workforce is a key factor employers look for to a region to provide. All these planning components will serve as a framework, and the majority of the focus on the master plan will be on overall city land use and special planning areas. As each of the above areas are defined, one of the last pieces will be a transportation study to determine the best way to move people as pedestrians, on bikes, or automobiles, and to determine the best uses for public transit given the other priorities in the plan. This helps us connect all the dots: employment, education, housing, and commerce. Council just recently approved funding for that study, and we look forward to its results. And as part of the master planning process, the city formed a 12-member volunteer advisory committee. The role of the members is to assist the planning process by working with city staff and consultants by being the sounding board and the review body for the master plan. Members on the committee have a wide range of experience and, most importantly, have pride in Middletown. Advisory committee members include representatives from the city, including Council and Planning Commission, educational providers, Cincinnati State, Miami University, and the Middletown School District, local business community, including the Chamber of Commerce, AK Steel, real estate brokers, and Atrium Medical Center. In terms of quality of life, we have many great assets here in Middletown, and the city works to enhance our quality of life through a number of ways. The city supports many local nonprofits with their events and helps promote the great activities in Middletown, whether it's the musical arts, the performing arts, or the visual arts, summer concerts, or an intimate performance. There's plenty to enjoy in Middletown. I want to extend my thanks to the many, countless volunteers that contribute thousands of hours to making our community a great place to live, work, and raise a family. One new enhancement to our quality of life opened up in August, the Metro Parks River Center. The location, chosen due to its proximity to downtown Middletown and the Great Miami River Trail, will attract visitors to the trail and increase the usage at AK Pavilion. It was a great partnership with the city, Metro Parks, and the Miami Conservancy District. The River Center will play an active role in the ongoing revitalization of downtown Middletown. It will be a positive impact on revenue generation as in the region, as out-of-town visitors of the trail and river will likely spend time in Middletown at businesses and special events. The potential regional impact played a big role in the state capital grant, which was leveraged for its construction. The River Center is at the trailhead for the 9-mile Great Miami River Trail Middletown segment. And even more exciting is the future expansion of the trail. In 2020, in partnership with the City of Franklin, OKI, and the Miami Valley Regional Planning Authority, our trail will connect to the north, providing access to over 600 miles of trails in Ohio, bringing in even more visitors. The River Center features many amenities, so I'd like to invite you down to stop and check it out, take some time in and take in the fall foliage, walk the trail, or bike the bike trail. It's a great time and a great asset. The city's also continued the 4th of July fireworks and community celebration. That's been supported by many local businesses, and we sincerely appreciate their support and dedication for improving our quality of life with fun activities. We look to add additional park programming as our budget allows. We're able to leverage partnerships with the YMCA, local churches, and volunteers to offer great things like movies in the park, our youth sports leagues, and adult recreation activities like pickleball down at Lefferson Park. As part of the updated master planning process, the city worked through its comprehensive review of our housing stock, the issues and policies surrounding housing this year. Last year's State of the City address touched on many of those issues. Thanks to dedicated committee members who have been meeting regularly since early summer to better understand the issues, provide input to the city manager, and are helping shape our plans to address these challenging areas. According to the Butler County Auditor, from 2011 to 2015, Middletown housing decreased in overall value by $58 million. During a time when most Butler County communities were seeing improvements after the recession. Looking back to 1963, that master plan identified deteriorating and dilapidated neighborhoods, and it looks a lot like the same neighborhoods we discuss as troubled today. For 55 years, we've looked at this and said that's a problem, but we weren't able to resolve the housing disinvestment and neighborhood deterioration in any meaningful way. Doug Atkins and the City Council are committed to reverse that trend. Kicking the can down the road does not help our city. We're working on a plan to address the issues and begin resolutions. There will be difficult policy decisions to make. I encourage residents to share their thoughts with council members to provide their insight and perspective on the solutions. To work on a housing piece of the master plan, the city put together a housing committee that includes members of City Council, several local residents, realtors, bankers, housing rehabbers, landlords, developers, and home builders. The committee began its work in May and continues to look at and analyze a number of issues. The city website includes a lot of community details, information, and meeting recordings. I look forward to seeing the final product and recommendations from the committee, and I'd like to thank all those who participated to help improve Middletown. The big picture housing issues and key policy impacts and questions around 12 topics. I'd like to touch on each one of those. The first is addressing tax delinquent property. In the city of Middletown, there are nearly 1,300 tax delinquent parcels. And that represents about $6.2 million in delinquent taxes. In terms of what that represents in terms of payments to entities, the city would be due $600,000, the county and others would be due about $1 million, and our school district is due $4.6 million. The key policy direction will be on ways to address delinquencies from the least intrusive of vacant properties owned by out-of-area landlords to the most intrusive, addressing delinquent homeowners. The second topic deals with vacant residential property. The 2016 census identified 3,400 vacant housing units in Middletown. The city annually spends about $25,000 to board vacant homes and buildings in the city. Some of the key policy questions we'll be addressing are, does the city have a role in compliant vacant housing? How long should it sit vacant before we take actions and be proactive? Should we have a vacant property ordinance? And if so, how strict should it be? In terms of vacant residential land, the third topic, there are over 500 vacant lots in the city due to demolition and removal of blighted properties. We've made tremendous progress by capitalizing on grants available for demolition. We've been successful in removing some of the blight, but we're left with the responsibility for mowing these parcels. The downside is we're incurring expenses of $250,000 for that mowing. The upside is we've improved areas by removing eyesores, nuisance properties that encourage criminal activity. The committee and council are exploring alternative uses for these parcels. It might be basketball courts, community gardens. It might become adopt-a-lot programs. It might offer green space. It might become off-street parking lots in tight residential areas. Could be sites for new infill, new construction. We could look at mow-to-own programs or do more outdoor public art or a walking trail through the neighborhood. Lots of other creative uses could be possible. The fourth issue is dealing with property maintenance code compliance. In review of the current tools, we have many in our toolbox. First is the International Property Maintenance Code, which we have adopted, the city's nuisance code, and a relatively new chronic nuisance endorsement ordinance. The city spends about $250,000 a year abating nuisances and assessing charges to property owners. Some of the key policy questions we'll be addressing are whether we should enforce interior only or expand that to enforce interior code violations as well when those are observed. And that's all included in the International Property Maintenance Code. And at what point is demolition the most cost-effective path to compliance? Additionally, the city will conduct a review of programs like SELF or people working cooperatively to assist with property maintenance violations, especially for seniors and disabled homeowners. The fifth issue is dealing with a buffer around heavy industrial areas. Modern city planning would not place a single-family home zone up against heavy industrial uses. Our housing in our industrial areas become poorly maintained, low-income rentals in many areas. Some are out of date, two-bedroom, small homes that deal with high crime and poor infrastructure, with septic systems and streets in need of repair. The committee and council will need to evaluate a policy of removal as opportunities arrive to create a buffer zone for housing, separating from heavy industrial uses that might include green space or transitional commercial and lighter use areas. This can help on multiple fronts. We can address problem areas of vacant structures, abandoned structures, and open up additional land for economic activity and job growth. The sixth issue is tied to home ownership. The Middletown area home ownership level is recently measured at 53%, and that compares to the state level at 66%, and the U.S. at 64%. Our committee recently recommended Middletown adopt a goal to get to the U.S. level at 64% over time. Council will be evaluating potential policies and tools to reach this level, adding new single-family owner-occupied housing as developers like Ryan Homes and Fisher Homes are growing in Middletown, ways to demolish poor-quality rentals, fill vacant homes with homeowners, and look at different down payment assistance program, new infill home construction, housing incentives to relocate and fill jobs in Middletown in terms of workforce development effort. The seventh deals with rental housing, the flip side of home ownership. And Middletown has about 47% rental housing, compared to Ohio's 34% and the U.S. level 36% rentals. Also, we have an excessive percentage of single-family homes used as rentals. The goal recommended by the committee is to reach the U.S. level at 36%. And some of the tools and policies we'll be looking at is, of course, adding new single-family owner-occupied housing, add new market rate multifamily units, addressing those poor quality rentals, removing residential homes and rentals from the industrial buffer area, and fill vacant homes with homeowners, converting single-family rentals into owner-occupied properties. The eighth issue is addressing the overabundance of less competitive housing, one of the bigger struggles we've got. The study identified that Middletown has too many smaller, two-bedroom, one-bath homes that just do not fit today's housing needs. Effectively, there are too many starter homes. So as people need larger or nicer housing, they must leave Middletown to surrounding areas. We should work towards a more balanced housing stock as part of our policies and remove excess non-competitive housing to be replaced with higher value, 3-bedroom or larger homes so we can keep families here in Middletown. The committee and council will be considering strategies and goals to move towards this. In terms of the ninth issue is addressing healthy neighborhood infrastructure. Street paving, sidewalks, addressing aging septic systems, providing adequate street lighting, adding neighborhood gateways, park enhancements, and improving alleyways are all key elements of a healthy neighborhood. The committee and council, along with residents, will need to determine the best way to address these. Many of these are tied to our lack of funding for streets and improvements. The 10th issue deals with the non-infrastructure aspects, things like Wi-Fi access, broadband access, neighborhood retail offerings, access to health care, food, and child care in neighborhoods, having transportation options, low crime area, having recreational opportunities, making sure beautification is occurring with landscaping and trees. We'll be looking at ways to fund that and ways to support that fit each neighborhood. And the 11th issue is a big one in terms of addressing consequences of housing choices, the policies we'll be implementing, the effect of gentrification. We'll be having a key policy discussion around this. We'll need to consider how do we vastly improve neighborhoods without driving out existing residents who really stuck it out with us through the recession and through hard times. I don't expect we'll see any huge swings in valuations in any one area in Middletown, but over time, the key will be to improve property values, improve quality, and have safe housing for residents, and improve neighborhoods. The last issue will be addressing the selection of a neighborhood for revitalization and begin to repeat this process as we roll through different neighborhoods. We'll get through these issues. It'll be easier to look at specific neighborhoods and make determinations as to what should be done and what, if any, exceptions to policy need to be reviewed. There are difficult decisions and questions that need to be asked, and hopefully we can work as a community to resolve issues that have long kept us from being the best city we can be. There are several common themes that hit on a number of issues: vacancy, blight, code violations, and enforcement. I believe the city will notice an immediate improvement in some short-term strategies that address many problem areas all at once. Longer term, there will be additional investment needed, but we can no longer afford to ignore or hope these problems fix themselves. One enhancement we made this year is to move the code enforcement function to the Division of Police. Dilapidated structures are often an indication of criminal activity and can be a magnet for crime. By placing these responsibilities under the police department, the city can move quickly to address violations before issues escalate. This will help us become proactive in addressing issues. Over the past year, we've made progress with many properties. Several out-of-town landlords have stepped up, but there is much more to do. If there is one area that dominates residents and many others' perceptions of the city and their desires, it's street paving. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a costly issue. First, the number again is a staggering $160 million. 41% of our roadways are in poor to very poor or failed rating. Repairing these roads is about 1/3 of the total, nearly $54 million alone. And that's covering 150 lane miles. The changes made at the state level to local government fund have not helped matters locally. Since the reductions were made, the city has lost millions in funding. I'm hopeful that with the state at a surplus and their rainy day fund at its maximum, there will be progress made to help cities, counties, and townships with critical funding needs like our infrastructure. That's the bad news, that we have a lot of catching up to do. On the good side, we are spending more on paving in the area than anyone except for Westchester. And we have over 600 lane miles of roads to maintain. We're currently addressing about 2% of those a year. And that's about the middle of the pack of some of the cities in the region. I think we can do better. Council is committed to look for additional support within our budget, but our local resources are limited. This year's paving program started earlier this summer, is getting ready to wrap up, and we addressed areas all over town. It's certainly good to see the new smooth asphalt going down, and there are a few areas that will be happening next year, but this year we spent $2.3 million with contractors to get that paving completed. And our public works crews will be doing some paving as well. Those included side streets and alleys that are manageable for us to do with limited time and staff, The cost for the city paving crew was about $150,000. And as revenues continue to strengthen and improve, we'll putting more and more towards paving in the future. You'll see some further upgrades to the I-75 interchange, to our front door, as we continue beautification efforts on those medians. And as revenues allow, we'll start to move down State Route 122 and upgrade median landscaping throughout the city in future years. And coming in 2020, which will be here before we know it, the city will be able to finish off Central Avenue with new paving, lighting, and pedestrian and bike access. Just last month, a $4.5 million OKI federal transportation grant was awarded to the city. And that's another example of an outside organization taking notice that Middletown is worth significant investment. The net result is that we will benefit from a better vehicular, traffic, pedestrian safety, and bicycle traffic patterns. Also, this will help us implement the downtown master plan and jumpstart development on a part of Central that is ripe for new development and redevelopment of existing properties. Over the past several years, I've mentioned the ongoing negotiations with the EPA for our consent decree to address a long-term control plan for our combined sewer stormwater overflows. Through lots of hard work and discussions, the agreement was entered into federal court and became final effective in April 2018. With this settlement, the city is now required to begin implementation of the long-term control plan. The first project identified will be the construction to intercept the stormwater flow from the Bulls Run stream. The stormwater will be redirected to a new, shallow, green infrastructure type basin located at Sunset Park, reducing the amount of stormwater before it enters the combined sewer system. This project will cost $3 million and must be completed by mid-year 2019. Sunset Park area residents were invited to participate in a forum this summer. City staff and consultants presented renderings of the enhancements to the park, and the citizens provided some great feedback. We certainly appreciate when residents stay involved in issues that affect their neighborhood. Other aspects of the long-term control plan are going to cost a total of $112 million. Some of those include a stormwater redirection project that will be a new stormwater and pump station in Lakeside, Wildwood area, and that will redirect approximately 300 acres of stormwater runoff that will cost about $12 million to implement. That needs to be completed by 2022. Then the plan calls for the construction of 2 large storage tanks and associated pumping stations. The first will be the downtown area storage basin and hold 5.1 million gallons of runoff from storms and will cost $41 million. That's to be completed by 2026. The second is another basin at Barnett's Park, which will hold 6.6 million gallons of storage and cost $56 million to be completed by 2043. And lastly, the plan calls for needed maintenance and improvements to our wastewater system. We'll be replacing and updating 40 miles of sewer pipe, which is at or near the end of its useful life, and then we'll be spending $79 million to take care of critical rehabilitation upgrades to the major water treatment plant operations, which are necessary for it to remain viable over the next 25 years. The city also entered into a supplemental environmental project to reduce the civil penalty for the alleged violations, which created a win-win situation. The SEP included capping of sediments in a designated section of the hydraulic canal next to the STN Wren site. The upside is the city now has a shovel-ready site ready for development to fit within the downtown master plan. It's important that we've settled all this, but the resolution will be expensive and it will take time. We'll be working on this for the next 25 years. The impact of opioids, heroin, fentanyl, and prescription drug abuse has been in the news for years, and Middletown has certainly seen its share of the crisis. It put a huge burden on city resources, from EMS responses to police investigations and criminal activity. Through the leadership of the city and our manager, along with key partners like Atrium Medical Center, we've hosted over a dozen summits that bring together all segments surrounding the opioid issue. What doesn't get as much attention, however, is the progress we've made on the overdose front. Responses, fatalities, and calls for police service are all down significantly, by more than 40% over the last 12 to 18 months. While many factors are at play and many partners are doing important work, I believe a lot of the credit should go to the city for stepping up to address this hard and difficult issue, grabbing hold of it, and dealing with it head on. Our quick response team deserves recognition for early implementation of a strategy that works, meeting immediately with overdose victims and families to focus them on recovery options and key education. Working together through this, we've made great progress. There are still underlying issues that must be addressed, especially around mental health and treatment options. Our local Chamber of Commerce is a key partner for the city. Thanks go to Rick Pierce, President and CEO of our Chamber. I certainly appreciate his participation in tonight's address. Under his leadership, the Chamber participates in business retention visits with the city. They make B2B connections, support leadership development, and keep business community updated on key topics. One important area of focus is the workforce development and the Education and Career Path Task Force at the Chamber. They recently sponsored Manufacturing Days, hosting tours at a dozen local employers for students and educators from 7 schools to see firsthand opportunities for their future. November will include 6 healthcare facilities and 8 participating schools. And as I mentioned earlier, having a qualified workforce is critical to attracting and retaining employers in the city and region. We have well over 1,000 unfilled jobs in the region, and the need continues to grow. The more we can connect individuals to the opportunities that exist, the better off we will be. Cincinnati State and Miami University are also closely involved with workforce development for our region. Both have expanded offerings to meet the needs for our community. Whether a certificate, an associate degree, a bachelor's degree, or an employer-sponsored career development exercise, they offer options to help make sure the Middletown area workforce is ready for opportunities now and in the future. Thank you again for joining us this evening. I'd like to take a moment to thank and acknowledge my family, especially my wife, Kristen. She's been incredibly supportive, and with a significant time investment and commitment involved in being your mayor, it's something we share the burden of, but I certainly appreciate her coming out tonight and supporting me. It is an honor and a privilege to serve my hometown in its capacity as mayor. We have many great things to be proud of in Middletown. Your city has attracted new outside investment. The vibrancy of our downtown continues to grow. Activities abound for all ages and interests. Future opportunities exist in our housing, new industrial areas, at our airport, downtown, and on the East End. Workforce and education are at the center of our future. Get involved and support your city and your schools. Hashtag MidiRising, hashtag Middletown, Ohio. Stop by one of our social media posts and post a selfie with your support. Got to follow after Marlon here. He's the leader. May God bless the city of Middletown, our great state and nation. Thank you and good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that update. As part of the State of City address, we remember and honor 2 council members who passed away while serving our city, Robert Sonny Hill and Jim Armbruster. Tonight, the mayor and Mrs. Pat Hill will be presenting the Sonny Hill Humanitarian Award. The Armbruster family has asked that they postpone their award until next month. I'd like to invite Mrs. Patricia Hill to the podium. Pat's husband, Sonny, a former mayor and city council member here, served Middletown for many years. This year will mark the 12th annual Robert Sonny Hill Jr. Humanitarian Award presentation. Pat?
Boy, I've enjoyed this evening until it was my turn to get up here. Hi, good evening. My name is Patricia Hill, and I'd like to thank Mayor Mulligan and the city of Middletown for allowing us the time to present this humanitarian award in honor of Sonny. Our mayor and the city manager, all Middletown citizens, friends, and visitors, good evening. Thanks to the city of Middletown for giving my family and me the time to present this humanitarian award in honor of Sonny. After all, this is the mayor's night, and I do appreciate him giving us some of his spotlight time and making this award possible. I'd like to introduce my family, my son Robbie Hill and his friend Georgia, my sister-in-law Jackie Phillips, who I'm so proud of. She's just grinning at me. That's the way I do her. When I see her name in the paper, I run straight to the phone, tell her how proud I am of her. My two sons, Mark and Patrick, are not able to be here tonight, but they send their regrets and to say thank the city. Sonny was on the city council for 12 years, and in 2000, he was made mayor. June the 22nd of this year, Sonny has closed his eyes and left us for 14 years now. His passion was for the second ward. I still call it the second ward, my neighborhood. His passion was for the city of Middletown. He loved his family, he loved his lodge, and he loved his church. The renaming of the community center was a very important event for my family. As I said, this is the 12th annual humanitarian award given in honor of Sonny, thanks to the city. The renaming of the community center was a special event for my family, because after all, I grew up at the Middletown Community Center. We had skating every Wednesday night. We had the tennis court dances every summer there. And we had basketball that was played upstairs in the gym. So me dating Sonny, and this was in the early 50s now, I was dating Sonny. And Sonny was from Hamilton, I'm Middletown. He was been in Hamilton all his life. I've lived in Middletown all my life. And when their community center from Hamilton would come to Middletown to play the men on our basketball team, Sonny was always the top player. So me, Middletown, and Sonny from Hamilton, and when Sonny would come down the floor to shoot the basket, and he always did, I would have to clap like this so the Middletown people couldn't see me, because he'd always say, "You never cheer for me." I was like, "I can't." So I was always called the little still in the class there. Sonny came from a large family, and I did too. And he was always ready to give and help anyone he can. Some of you have seen me always do this, and I can never get over the fact how he was. If someone came to the house, his family, my family, whoever neighbor needed something, and I would tell him that they were there to see him, and I said, "Sonny, they want such and such a thing," and he'd say, "Well, okay." I said, "But we can't do that." And he'd say, "Give me your hand." And I'd say, "What?" He'd say, "Give me your hand." He said, "Now close it out." And I would look, "Yeah, it's closed." He said, "Now, can I get anything in your hand?" I said, "No." He said, "Open it up to help somebody else, and somebody can put something in yours." He had a big heart, and sometimes I just wanted to take the fist. That wasn't nice, was it? But Sonny met a lot of friends while he was on council. And before I call our recipient up, I'd like to have his beautiful wife, Amy Schiavone, to stand and be recognized. Because we all know when you have a husband as busy and works as hard as Dave does, she's working just as hard to keep him going. So I always give the ladies, I was one of those ones, I know all about it. Sonny came on the council about the same time he and Dave came on, and they became great friends. And if Dave would call the house or Sonny had something to do with Dave, he always called Dave my buddy. So I always knew when he'd say my buddy who he was talking about. So at this time, that Mr. David Schiavone is our recipient this evening for the Robert Sonny Humanitarian Award.
Take a moment to read this recognition we prepared for Mr. Schiavone. The 12th Annual Robert Sonny Hill Jr. Humanitarian Award presented to David Schiavone. In memory of Robert Sonny Hill Jr., who served on Middletown City Council for 11 years, Sonny was elected in 1993, soundly defeating 4 opponents for a city commission seat representing the 2nd Ward. At the first meeting of the City Commission in 1994, Sonny was selected vice chairman and was named chairman the next year. In 2001, Sonny became the first African-American mayor of the city of Middletown. David Schiavone is being honored and recognized for his hard work, tenacity, and vision, which have contributed to the progress of our community. David served 16 years on the Middletown City Commission and Council, including 5 years as mayor. He has assisted hundreds of citizens over the years and has been very active with many organizations throughout our community. He's shown enthusiasm and generosity in all his endeavors and has given freely of his time and talent beyond what was required or expected. He served on the Park Board for 12 years. He proposed and helped create the Middletown Tree Commission and served as a liaison for 8 years. He served as president of the Board of Health for 5 years, as liaison for the Convention and Visitors Bureau for 4 years, and was a member of the Emergency Management Advisory Council for 3 years. He served on the Master Plan Implementation Committee, Middletown Moving Forward, and many other committees. David Schiavone's legacy of service will stand as a hallmark for others to emulate. The city of Middletown is a better place for his service. Congratulations, David. Appreciate all your hard work.
Boy, I was busy back then. Woo. Pat, thank you very much for selecting me as the 12th recipient of this award. It means a lot to me, it means a lot to my family. It's a great honor. Beside my wife here today, my daughter Corinne and grandson Graham and my son-in-law Matt's here also. First of all, I just want to say this is my first time in the building since it's been reconstructed. And what a magnificent job the school board has done, administration has done with what you had to work with. I attended Middletown School in the early 70s when it was the new school. But boy, it didn't look like this, and this is remarkable. So I just want to tell the school board members that are here, school administration, how much this community appreciates the hard work that you're doing, and it sounds like you got a lot of things ahead of you. So we appreciate that, and I think you deserve a round of applause for everything you're doing. Thank you. Sonny and I met 25 years ago, actually. The 1993 election was the first election that the ward system was implemented. So we had 4 wards and 3 at large. I met Sonny at the first candidate forum that year at the Middletown Library. Big crowd that night. There was a lot going on because of the ward system, and everybody was very interested in what was going on. There was a lot of people running, so we had a full panel of people talking, and I was nervous, no doubt. I was nervous that night, but Sonny, no, he was calm and cool, like he always was. And I know afterward, I had a chance to actually meet him, and he said some nice things, and we really hit it off right in the beginning. We both were elected that year, along with Jim Armbruster, Bob Lambert. We joined Guy Stone, Paul Ninney, and Jeff Kimball on the council, on the commission back then. And we were faced with some big issues right off the bat. We had the health board fiasco going on, if you remember that, Lake Middletown issue. We were in a fight with the annexation with Franklin Township and the East End, trying to expand our borders. And then, of course, the crown jewel of problems was the roof over the downtown that we had to deal with. It would cost us $500,000 a year at that point. So we had some challenges ahead of us that we knew of. And I remember early on in 1994, when we used to meet on the 3rd floor for our work sessions, and we were in a heated discussion. I don't remember what the issue was, but it was a heated discussion, and it was going back and forth. And at one point, Sonny says, well, maybe we should just take this outside and settle it. And there was awkward silence, and I thought, was he serious? I mean, I've never been, in this situation, and so everybody stopped, and then Sonny gave us that little smile. You remember the smile that he gave when he say something like that, and everybody just kind of, yeah, you're right, Sonny. We're arguing, but let's not be argumentative. Let's deal with these issues. And I think that was a starting point for that council to make things happen. And we're still seeing that happening with the East End development, and the downtown is looking great. And so, I think we started some things 25 years ago that we're seeing the fruition of those items. And I thank the mayor for the last decade that you've been serving as in a capacity, and the council people that you've worked with, and keeping that momentum, and the city is getting better, and we appreciate everything you're doing. Sonny was a funny guy, smart guy, compassionate, humble, just a good guy. And I can tell you that this award certainly, so I'm honored by this award, and it's something that I will cherish the rest of my life. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this evening's activities for the 2018 State of the City Address. I'd like to invite you for refreshments over to the side wall. Thank you for coming, and good evening.